Jennifer sat in the wheelchair, her hands folded in her lap, staring at the sunlight streaming through the hospital corridor windows. The blue hospital gown felt strange against her skin, too thin, too temporary. She'd spent 20 years building her marketing company from nothing, wearing power suits and leading boardroom meetings. Now, at 43, she wore cotton that tied in the back and tried to remember what her hair had looked like before the chemotherapy. 3 months. That's what Dr. Patterson had said yesterday. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less. The cancer had spread too far, too fast. Jennifer had called her assistant that same afternoon and resigned as CEO. She'd made her will. She'd said her goodbyes to her team. Everything was in order, just like she'd run her business efficiently, thoroughly, leaving nothing undone. But sitting here now, waiting for the nurse to discharge her so she could go home to her empty apartment, Jennifer felt something she hadn't allowed herself to feel in those first busy hours after the diagnosis. She felt alone. Down the hallway, she heard laughter. A child's voice, bright and musical. Jennifer looked up and saw them approaching. A little girl, maybe 6 or 7, with wavy auburn hair and a pink dress, skipping beside a man in a burgundy sweater. The man had a kind face, with a short beard and gentle eyes. He walked slowly, matching his pace to his daughter's, holding her small hand in his larger one. "Daddy, can we get ice cream after?" the little girl was asking. "We'll see, sweetheart," the man replied. "Let's visit Mrs. Henderson first, okay?" They passed Jennifer, and the little girl's eyes met hers. The child smiled, a pure, unguarded smile that held no pity, no awkwardness, just simple warmth. "Hi," the girl said. "Hello," Jennifer managed, surprised by the greeting. The man glanced at Jennifer and nodded politely, giving her the same gentle smile, before they continued down the hall and turned into one of the rooms. Jennifer sat there, feeling strangely moved by such a brief encounter. In her world, her former world, people rarely looked at each other like that. Everything was transactional, purposeful. But that child had smiled simply because she'd seen another human being. Over the next week, Jennifer came to the hospital 3 more times for treatments that would, at best, buy her comfort in her remaining time. And each time, she saw them, the man and his daughter, always visiting someone, always bringing flowers or cards or homemade cookies. His name was Nathan, she learned from overhearing the nurses. His daughter was Lily. His wife had died in this very hospital 2 years ago, but he still came regularly, bringing Lily to visit elderly patients who had no family, children in the pediatric ward who needed cheering up, anyone who seemed to need a friendly face. "That man's a saint," one nurse told another as Jennifer sat in the waiting area. "After what he went through with Rachel, you'd think hospitals would be the last place he'd want to be. But here he is, every week, spreading joy like it's his job." Jennifer found herself watching for them, timing her treatments to coincide with their usual visiting hours. She never spoke to Thema. What would she say? But seeing their kindness, their light in this place of suffering, somehow made her own darkness feel less heavy. Then came the day everything changed. Jennifer was being wheeled back from a treatment, exhausted and nauseated. The hallway tilted and spun. She closed her eyes, trying to breathe through the sickness, when she heard a small voice. "Daddy, that lady doesn't look good." Jennifer opened her eyes. Lily stood a few feet away, her hand in Nathan's, her face etched with concern. Nathan knelt beside his daughter and spoke softly. "You're right, sweetheart. She looks like she's having a hard day." He glanced at Jennifer. "Excuse me, miss, are you all right? Can we get someone for you?" The nurse who was pushing Jennifer's wheelchair had stepped away to answer a phone call. Jennifer tried to speak but couldn't find the words. The nausea was overwhelming. Without hesitation, Nathan approached. "I'm Nathan," he said gently. "This is Lily. You look like you could use some help." What happened next, Jennifer would remember for the rest of her life, however long that might be. Nathan stayed. He didn't just call for a nurse and leave. He stayed, speaking to her in a calm, steady voice, telling her to breathe slowly, asking Lily to run to the nurse's station for help. When Jennifer began to cry from the sickness, from the fear, from the overwhelming loneliness of it all, Nathan simply said, "It's okay. You don't have to be brave right now. We're here." The nurse returned and took over, but Nathan and Lily waited until Jennifer was settled, until her nausea subsided, until color returned to her face. "Thank you," Jennifer whispered. Nathan smiled. "We all need someone sometimes." Lily stepped forward and, with the seriousness only a child can muster, held out a small stuffed bunny she'd been carrying. "You can borrow Mr. Hobbs," she said. "He helps when I'm scared." Jennifer looked at this child offering her most precious comfort, and something inside her broke open. Tears spilled down her cheeks. "That's very kind of you, sweetheart," she managed. "What's your name?" "I'm Lily." "That's my daddy, Nathan. We come here to visit people who are lonely." Nathan looked slightly embarrassed. "Lily, I'm not sure this lady wants a—" "I'm Jennifer," she interrupted softly. "And I am lonely." The words surprised her. Jennifer Monroe, CEO, decision-maker, woman who needed no only admitting loneliness to strangers in a hospital corridor. But something about them made truth feel safe. Nathan pulled up a chair and sat beside her wheelchair. Lily climbed onto his lap, still holding out the bunny. "Would you like to tell us about it?" Nathan asked simply. And Jennifer did. She told them about the diagnosis, about the 3 months, about her empty apartment and emptier life. She told them about building a company but forgetting to build relationships, about success that suddenly felt hollow when faced with mortality. Nathan listened without judgment, without trying to fix anything, without offering empty platitudes. When she finished, he was quiet for a moment, then spoke. "My wife Rachel died 2 years ago," he said, his voice steady but soft. "Cancer, like you. And in those last months, you know what she told me?" She said the only things that mattered were the people she loved and the kindness she'd shared. Everything else, the house, the career plans, all the things we thought were important, and none of it mattered at the end. He looked at Jennifer with understanding eyes. But she also said something else. She said it's never too late to live differently. Even if you only have 3 months, you can choose how you spend them. Jennifer absorbed his words. "I don't know how," she admitted. Lily spoke up, her child's voice clear and confident. "You can come with us. We visit people. We make them happy. You could help." Nathan smiled at his daughter's enthusiasm, then looked back at Jennifer. "She's not wrong, actually. If you're up for it, if your doctors approve, you'd be welcome to join us. We're here every Tuesday and Thursday. We visit. We listen, we just show up for people." Jennifer stared at them. These virtual strangers were inviting her into their ritual of kindness, offering her purpose when she thought her life was over. "I don't know if I'd be any good at it," she said hesitantly. "Nobody does, at first," Nathan replied. "But people don't need us to be perfect. They just need us to care." The following Thursday, Jennifer returned to the hospital not as a patient, but as a visitor. She was still weak, still bald, still in the blue clothes that marked her as someone fighting illness. But she walked beside Nathan and Lily to visit Mrs. Chen in room 304, an elderly woman with no family. Mrs. Chen's face lit up when they entered. She and Lily had become friends over months of visits. But when she saw Jennifer, her expression softened with understanding of one patient recognizing another. "Come," said Mrs. Chen said, patting her bed. "Tell me your story." And Jennifer did. She spent an hour talking with Mrs. Chen about life, about fear, about the strange gift of knowing your time is limited. Mrs. Chen, who was 92 and had outlived her husband and both her children, shared her own wisdom. "I've learned that life isn't measured in years," the old woman said. "It's measured in moments of connection. You're here now, you're present. That's what matters." Over the following weeks, Jennifer became part of Nathan and Lily's mission. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, she met them at the hospital. They visited different patients, some old, some young, some dying, some healing. Jennifer learned their stories. She held hands. She listened. She laughed and sometimes cried alongside people she'd never known existed a month before. And something extraordinary happened. The 3-month deadline came and went. Jennifer was still alive, still fighting. Her doctor couldn't explain that the cancer hadn't disappeared, but it had slowed. Her body seemed to be responding to something the medicine alone couldn't provide. "Sometimes," Dr. Patterson said carefully, "the will to live, having purpose, connecting with others, so these things matter more than we can measure medically." 6 months after her diagnosis, Jennifer sat in the hospital cafeteria with Nathan while Lily colored at the next table. Jennifer had begun writing letters to her former employees, apologizing for being so distant, so focused on productivity over people. Several had written back, sharing their own struggles she'd never known about. "I spent 20 years building something I thought mattered," Jennifer said to Nathan, "and it took dying to realize what actually does." Nathan nodded. Rachel said something similar. "But Jennifer, you're not dying right now. You're living, really living, maybe for the first time." "Because of you," Jennifer said softly. "Because you and Lily stopped in that hallway. You didn't have to." "Yes, we did," Nathan replied. "That's what Rachel taught me. When you see someone suffering, you stop. Always. No matter how inconvenient, no matter how uncomfortable. You stop, and you show up." Lily looked up from her coloring. "Jennifer, can you help me with the butterfly? I can't get the wings right." Jennifer moved to sit beside the little girl, their heads bent together over the coloring book. As she helped Lily shade the wings, she felt Nathan's eyes on them, warm and kind. That night, alone in her apartment, which no longer felt quite so empty, Jennifer wrote in the journal her doctor had suggested she keep. "Today I realized I've been given an impossible gift. I was told I had 3 months to live, and in facing death, I finally learned how to live. Nathan and Lily didn't save my life yet. The cancer is still there, still waiting. But they saved my soul. They showed me that it's never too late to matter, never too late to connect, never too late to be part of something bigger than yourself. I may have 3 months or 3 years or, if I'm blessed, longer. But however much time I have, I'll spend it the way they do, showing up, being present, choosing kindness over fear. I thought I was dying. Turns out, I was just finally being born." Jennifer lived for another 2 years. When she finally passed, it was peacefully, in her sleep, in her apartment that had become filled with cards and photos from the countless people she'd visited with Nathan and Lily. At her funeral, Nathan spoke about the woman she'd become, not the CEO, but the friend, the visitor, the person who showed up. He talked about how she taught Lily about courage, about how facing your own mortality can free you to truly live. And Lily, now 9 years old, placed Mr. Haase the stuffed bunny in Jennifer's casket. "She gave him back to me after a while," Lily told the gathered mourners, her voice clear and strong. "But I want her to have him now, so she won't be lonely." In Jennifer's will, she left her considerable estate to create a foundation, run by Nathan, dedicated to connecting volunteers with patients who had no visitors. She called it 3 months of forever, a reminder that however much time we have, we can choose to spend it on what truly matters. Years later, when people asked Nathan about Jennifer, he always smiled and said the same thing: "She thought we saved her that day in the hospital. But really, she saved us." She reminded us that it's never too late to change your life, never too late to choose love over fear, connection over isolation. She showed us that even in dying, we can teach others how to live. And in hospitals across the city, volunteers continued Jennifer's legacy, showing up for lonely patients, offering presence and kindness, proving that sometimes the greatest gift we can give is simply being there, caring enough to stop, caring enough to stay. Because that's what Jennifer learned in her final years, what Nathan and Lily had known all along: we're not here to build empires or achieve success. We're here to love each other, to ease each other's pain, to show up in the hard moments and say, "You're not alone. I see you. You matter." And that, Jennifer had discovered, was worth more than all the boardrooms and business deals in the world.